Today we're installing the Madjax Storm Body Kit designed for the EZ-GO TXT Gas. Included with the kit are front driver side and passenger side fenders, a center hood, the center panel for the rear body, the rear passenger side fender, the driver side rear fender, the rear bag well, trunk cover, the rear bumper, and the front grille. You'll also receive a fully upgraded light kit, which includes headlights, tail lights, a hazard switch, turn signal assembly with cover, a brake switch, column cover for your harness, a horn, a relay, 36 to 48 volt converter, and a USB charger. Now let's get started. Engage the parking brake, turn the key switch to off, and put the cart into tow mode. What we're gonna do now is take off the canopy, front struts and rear struts, the sweater basket or rear seat kit if you have one, and remove the cushions. Remove your side skirts and your floor mat. Need to remove your F&R lever using a number 2 Phillips tip to take out the front screw. Make sure that you remember which orientation your lever was in beforehand. You're going to need to remove the choke cable. First thing you want to do is loosen the nut here to free it from the mount. Then you're going to push the choke cable forward to spin the pin located in the mount to free the cable through the groove in the front side of the choke cable mount. Now we're going to loosen the nut on the back side of the choke mount to pull the choke lever free from the body. Using a drill bit and safety glasses, remove the 5 rivets along the front side of the body at the floor pan. Next, we're going to remove the 2 rivets located on each side of the rear body. Use caution. You don't want to drill too far in and puncture a battery. Now remove the 4 rivets that hold on the hinges and any other rivets needed to remove the body. Now we're going to remove the rear bumper. You're going to take out the 4 caps across the bumper. Using a 3/8 socket, remove the bolts. Using a drill bit and your safety glasses, drill out the 2 rivets on both sides of the bumper. Repeat this on the other side and remove your bumper. At this point, you want to disconnect any tail lights, speakers, or additional accessories in your rear body. If there's any remaining plastic rivets in your bag well, go ahead and pop those out as well. We can now take our body off. Moving to the front cowl, we're going to drill out the rivets along the front of the IP here. Make sure you wear safety glasses and remove the last 2 rivets at the bottom of the cowl, 1 on each side. Be sure to disconnect any headlights and remove your front cowl. Using a 3/8 socket, remove the 2 bolts at the top of the front bumper, and then using our drill and safety glasses, we're going to remove the 2 rivets, 1 on each side of the bumper to free the bumper. Remove the bumper bracket by taking out the 2 bolts located here under the front frame. At this point, as you can see, it's probably a good idea to go ahead and pressure wash your cart. And if you're installing a lift kit, go ahead and do so before we put the body on. Before we install the harness, I want to go through the layout and the different connections. To identify the front of the harness, you'll notice a purple and black wire that goes to the horn, and then the 2 small pigtails for the headlights. This is the front of our harness. Moving down the harness, you'll notice a 12-pin connector. This goes to our turn signal upgrade. Slightly further down, you'll notice a fuse holder with 2 red and black wires, each having female spade connectors. One goes to the USB charger, the other is for an additional accessory. Then you'll notice a 2-pin connector with 1 red wire coming out of one side. This goes to the F&R switch if it's located at the front dash. If not, you can discard this harness. The next thing you'll see is a yellow and red wire with bullet connectors attached. This goes to your brake switch. In the middle of the harness, you'll notice another fuse holder and then some spade connectors that go to the supplied relay. You'll also see a 2-pin connector that goes to your battery connections with the ring terminals. There's also a 2-pin connector here with 1 red wire coming out of it. At the end of this harness, you'll notice 2 female spade connectors with 1 male spade connector attached. The shorter harness goes to gas carts with the F&R switch located in front of the body, and the longer leg of this harness goes to electric carts with the F&R switch at the front of the body. You can disconnect this harness if your F&R switch is in the dash. And finally, you'll notice your taillight plugs, red to the passenger side, white to the driver's side. As you can see, we've removed the front tire and have the cart on a lift. This is for video purposes only. This is not required. We're going to install our harness from the front of the cart to the rear on the driver's side. You'll notice the holes that run along the frame. We're going to feed the harness down through there and up into the battery or the engine compartment. I'm going to start with the tail lights first. You want to stop pulling the harness through when you get to the brake switch connections here, because they'll attach right here at the back side of the pedal. And finish running your harness into the battery compartment. Loosely secure the harness with zip ties until after the install. Now, using the supplied zip ties, we're going to secure the harness up into the front channel here. And on our cart, since our F&R switch is at the rear body, we're going to disconnect this 2-pin here. We're going to go ahead and install the brake switch. First thing you want to do is remove the 2 U-bolts temporarily. We're going to place the brake switch across the channel here that we just ran our main harness through. You'll notice on the brake switch bracket, there's a short side. This will go to the front of the cart. The switch will go to the ground. As you can see, the holes in the bracket line up with the front channel. So we're going to place the switch on the brake lever and not on the parking brake lever here. We're going to secure this in place with the U-bolts. You want to hand tighten the U-bolts so that the bracket can slightly move up and down as needed to engage the brake switch. What you want to hear is a click so that the switch is engaged, and then as you work the pedal, you hear another click that opens the channel so that the brake lights come on. Once you're in a good spot, go ahead and secure the bolts. Double check that when the brake is not set, the switch is engaged, and when you push the brake in, the switch disengages. Then we're going to secure our brake switch harness to our light kit harness. We're going to secure with zip ties. We're going to go ahead and attach our horn. We're going to use the hardware that we retain from our front bumper bracket, but you can mount the horn anywhere you'd like. Just keep in mind, we don't want to obstruct the cowl in any way. Now we're going to take our horn spade connectors and plug them in to the male spades. It does not matter which wire goes to which terminal. Now you just want to secure the front harness with a zip tie, feed the 12-pin connector just up to the front here. We'll come back to it later. The USB will go up to the front dash as well. You want to make sure that when you zip tie this to the front frame that you leave the headlight plugs loose. Before we install the turn signal assembly, I'm going to go over some of the features. On the outside here, you'll notice the horn button. The first rotary switch has 2 positions. The first one is your daytime run lights. The second is your headlights. This kit also has high beam feature. To do that, you need to pull back on the stock towards the driver. In the middle, you'll notice another rotary switch here with 2 positions. These are for additional accessories, which we'll explain later. And then finally, your turn signals. You'll also notice a black box. This is the turn signal control box, which controls all the features that we just went over. There's also a 12-pin connector that goes to the main light kit 12-pin connector. And then you'll see a bunch of wires coming out of one of the pigtails. The black, yellow, and blue wires with female spade connectors go to the hazard switch. The remaining wires are for the additional accessories such as fog lights or light bars that work through the rotary switch on your turn signal. The black wires are negative, the other wires are for the positive contact. Now we're going to attach our turn signal assembly to the column. First thing we're going to do is remove 2 of the screws from the clamps and loosen the other 2 enough so that the clamp slides over the column. We're going to mount the assembly a few inches down from the steering wheel and secure it with the 2 screws we removed. You want to equally tighten the screws. You want to make sure that the 12-pin connector down from the turn assembly will be able to go into the dash and be hidden. So if you go up too high, this may not work for you. If you're happy with the position of your turn assembly, you can snap on the trim cover. Now you're going to secure the harness with the column cover. You want the harness to go inside the channel on the back side of the column cover and then snap it over the column. Now we need to run our harness into the front dash area. On the newer carts, there's an access hole located behind the cup holders here that we can use. On the older carts, you'll need to disconnect the 12-pin connector here and cut a hole big enough for the 12-pin connector to go into at the back side of the cup holders and then feed it in through the bottom of the dash. On our cart, what we're going to do is notch along the side of the access hole to hide our 12-pin. You want to make sure you use safety glasses. Now you just reattach your 12-pin connector. Then connect the 12-pin connector from the other side to the 12-pin from your light kit harness. Next, we're going to install our hazard switch below the key here on the front dash panel using a 7/16 drill bit. Find your location, drill the hole out. You also want to make sure there's nothing on the back side that can be damaged by the drill bit, and make sure you use safety glasses. Then we're going to remove the ring nut from the back side of the hazard switch and insert the switch through the dash with the LED towards the bottom. With the switch in place, secure it with the ring nut. Then attach the black wire to the bottom terminal, which is directly behind the LED. Connect the blue wire to the center post and the yellow wire to the top post. Now's a good time to install your additional accessories if needed. Remember, the negative wire goes to the negative marked fog, and your positive wires will go to the female bullet connectors. Next, we're going to install our USB charger. First thing you'll see is on the back side of the charger, there's a positive and negative symbol. Positive for the red wire, negative for the black wire from our harness. If you have a 1 1/8 inch paddle bit or hole saw, you can use it to cut out the hole for your USB. If not, undo the ring nut from the USB charger and use it as a template. Mark the inside and cut it out with a cutting tool. We're going to mount our USB here. You can install this anywhere you would like. Just make sure that the area is free of obstacles behind the mounting surface. Make sure you use your safety glasses. Now you can test fit the USB port. Then you slide the ring nut over the harness and insert the wires through your mounting location. Now we're going to plug in our harness to the matching symbols on the back side of the USB. Insert it through our mounting hole and secure it with our ring nut. Before we install, we're going to assemble our cowl using 4 5mm sheet metal screws and clip nuts. We're going to assemble this with a T25 torque socket. We're going to flip the cowl over. You want to make sure that you have a nice soft surface that doesn't scratch the cowl. You want to go ahead and install your 4 clip nuts on the mounting points here. You want the smooth side to face towards the inside of the cowl. Now we're going to take our fender and snap it into the 3 mounting tabs here. You want to make sure that they fully engage in the fender, and also the flat edge of our mounting surface for the fender on the outside of the clip nuts. Using the M5 screws, we're going to tighten the fender to the cowl using a T25 torque socket. Do not use a drill, hand tighten only to avoid stripping out the clip nuts and damaging the cowl. Using the M4 screws from Hardware Pack 1, we're going to attach our grill to the cowl. What you want to do here is the top side of the grill will go to the outside of the cowl, and the 2 flanges here will go to the inside of the cowl, which will allow the top half to come back in and attach to the mounting points here along the top side of the cowl. You'll also notice there's 2 mounting points here on the flanges. So the top of the grill will stay on the outside of the cart. The two side pieces will go back behind the cowl. Use a T20 torque socket. Now that our cowl is assembled, we're going to put our headlights in using 6 of the M4 screws and a T20 torque socket. You'll notice on the passenger side headlights, there's a red 6-pin connector. There's also a name on the back side in the mold. You'll notice here, there's mounting tabs around the headlight cutout, 2 on the bottom and 1 on the top. You're going to line that up with the 1 hole and the 2 holes on the bottom from the headlight. Secure it with the M4 screws, but do not use a drill, hand tighten only. Repeat the same thing on the other side. Now you want to flip the cowl over and make sure that the lights are flushed up to the body and that the screws are tight enough. Place the cowl up against the front dash and secure into place using the strut bolts we retained from the first step. Just place the bolt in, don't tighten. Ensure that the cowl is sitting as tight to the back side of the dash as possible, and then use the small black rivets from hardware pack 6 to secure along the front panel. There's 7 rivets total. To secure the bottom of the cowl to the frame, we're going to use the stainless steel rivets. You want to make sure that the cowl is pushed in tight to the back side of the trim. Repeat this on the other side. Plug in your headlights. Remember, the red pins go to the passenger side. Once both headlights are attached, secure your harness with zip ties. Take your tail light wires. The red pin goes to the passenger side. We're going to feed it up the frame and across, and then back down to the passenger side. Driver side simply going to go straight back. Next, find the 2-pin from the harness. This is where we're going to hook up our battery connection pigtail from, but do not attach it to the battery just yet. We'll do that when we're done. So we're going to set this aside for now. Next to that 2-pin connector, you'll notice a bunch of spade connectors. You're going to take the yellow wire with the female spade connector and attach it to the red wire with the male. The other 2 are not used. We're going to hook up our F&R switch. We have the same 2 ends, one longer, one shorter. The long one's for an electric cart, the shorter one's for a gas cart. We're going to route this safely under to our front F&R lever switch. Here on the switch, the single wire on the bottom side of the switch, the other wire has 2 leads going to the same terminal. We're going to take the single wire off and attach the female from our harness to this terminal. Then the female spade connector that we took off of the switch, we're going to simply attach that to the male coming off of the female spade from our harness. With the remaining loom, you can safely zip tie it up. Now we're ready to assemble our rear body. You're going to grab the clip nuts from hardware pack 3 and attach them flat side up to the 4 locations on each of the fenders for the rear body. Using the M5 screws, we're going to attach the rear fender to the underbody, but hand tighten, do not use a drill. You want to make sure that the body is tight to the underbody and bagwell. We're going to repeat this on the other side. As you can see, we flipped our body upside down, and now we're going to install our rear bumper. We're going to take 3 clip nuts and attach them to the rear bumper here, here, and here, flat side up. We're going to flip our bumper upside down, place it on each side of the bagwell. You'll notice the channel here will go behind this tab on each side. There's also the flap here will go on top of the rear body. And we'll push the bumper all the way down until the clip nuts that we just installed are tight to the bottom side of the bagwell. Each end of the bumper will go behind the fender as shown. Now we're going to flip our body back over and secure it with the hardware. Using M5 screws and a T25 torque socket, secure the bumper to the bagwell first. Hand tighten, do not use a drill. Now we're going to flip the body back over and secure some screws from the inside. Using the supplied M4 screws, we're going to secure the rear fenders to the bumper at 3 locations, here, here, and here. You'll also want the mounting tab here to go inside the slot and secure into place. Use a T20 Torx head socket and hand tighten only. Repeat this process on the other side. We're ready to install our tail lights. As you can see, we still have the body upside down. We're going to put in the passenger side first. This is the one with the red pin connector on it. We're going to turn our tail light upside down as well. You'll notice that there's 2 spots here that we're going to put clip nuts at, with the flat side towards the front of the rear body. The third mounting location is here, and we're going to use an M4 screw at this location and the M5 screws where the clip nuts are at. We're going to repeat this process on the other light. So now just double check and make sure everything is secure and tight. On the front panel for the rear body, you're going to flip it to the back side. You'll see a circle that's molded in here. We're going to cut this hole out if you have a cart where the shifter is on the front of the rear body. If your shifter for your F&R switch is at the front by the instrument panel, you will skip this step. We're going to use an 1¼ inch hole saw, but you can use a rotary cutting tool and use the lines of the circle as a guide. Be sure to wear your safety glasses. Moving to the front of the rear body, we're going to attach our front panel using the notches on each side to the mounting tabs on the inside of each fender. We're going to secure this to the fenders using the M4 screws and a T20 Torx socket. Remember, hand tighten only, do not use a drill. Before we attach our rear body, we're going to drill out the 5 holes located across the front of the rear end here at the back of the pan. You're going to use a 13/64 drill bit and safety glasses. Place rear body over the frame as shown. Using the larger black rivets supplied, which is marked hardware 4 on your reference guide, secure the front of the body to the floor pan. Secure the side panels of the rear body using the aluminum rivets marked hardware item 5. Repeat this on the opposite side. Using the stainless steel rivets supplied, we're going to reattach our hinges to the top of the body and frame. At this time, you can replace your floor mat. Using the retained hardware and spacers, reattach your side skirts to the cart. Secure your hardware with a T30 Torx socket and a 10mm wrench. Using the larger black rivets marked hardware item 4 on the reference guide, secure the front and rear of your side skirt on both sides. We're going to reattach our choke cable. And tighten. Reattach your F&R lever using the retained hardware. Secure the rear bumper using the factory hardware. If you're not installing a seat kit, you can go ahead and attach the trunk cover. You'll notice on the back side of the trunk cover at the bottom, the small hooks. And at the top, you have the studs that go into the upper holes here at the bagwell. You're going to put the lower hooks in first, and then the upper studs will lock it into place. If you're installing a rear seat kit, do so now. If you're installing a Madjax G250 300 seat kit, you're going to have to put the rear bumper bracket on in conjunction with the trunk cover. You're going to place the bumper bracket over the rear bumper, but don't bolt it down. You're going to take the trunk cover, put the 2 hinge pieces in first, and then snap the top in. Plug in your tail lights. Remember, red pins to the passenger side, then secure with zip ties. Moving into the battery compartment, you're going to attach the ring terminals, red wire to the positive, black wire to the negative. Now we're going to take a zip tie and secure the remaining leftover harness. You'll notice there's a few components from the kit left over on gas carts. First is the 48-volt converter. You can retain this for a different cart build. A few of the rivets will be left over. And finally, the relay. These parts all go to electric carts. At this point, you want to double check all the functions of your light kit to make sure your lights and turn signals are on. You also want to make sure that your reverse lights work, and finally, your hazard switch. And double check that your harness is fully secured. You can reattach your canopy and struts now. It's also a good time to upgrade to a Versa top or your Madjax seat covers. You're finished installing your Madjax Storm Body Kit designed for the EZ-GO TXT Gas.